W5FC. TechNet Saturday at 7 p.m. W5FC.
Skynet will start in about 3 minutes. This is N5BB, net control.
Mr. Chairman, I need to make myself very clear. If we uplink now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet.
Does anyone need to... Excuse me, let me turn off the echo here. Does anyone need to use the repeater before we begin Skynet? This is N5BB, net control. This is N5BB, November 5, Bravo, Bravo. My name is Bill. I'll be your net control for this session of the Dallas Amateur Radio Club, Skynet. Skynet is a weekly net called every Saturday night at 9 p.m. concerning the subject of astronomy and space in general. Our purpose is to help amateurs become more familiar with the nighttime and daytime sky, astronomy, and space in general. This net is open to all amateurs interested in this topic. We encourage your participation, comments, and suggestions for this net. Stations with priority or emergency traffic may enter the net at any time by using approach sign break in your call sign. Is there any emergency or priority traffic at this time? This is a directed net. Please do not transmit without direction from your net control. That would be N5BB, myself. And stations are reminded to identify at the end of your transmissions. This weekly net operates on 146.88 megahertz with a PL tone of 110.9. Check-ins via Echolink are also possible using the W5FC-R station identification or Echolink node 37247. I am logged into Echolink, and Chaz has a cold. Hopefully he can talk okay. Hopefully he doesn't get laryngitis. So if you need to say something in net control, make it very obvious over there on the chat, and hopefully I'll notice it. Tonight's topics, astronomy charts, pictures, and live audio video links are available online. Go to www.w5fc.org for the complete list. Remember to tell others about this popular net. All amateur operators are welcome. You do not need to be a member. You do not need to be a member of any amateur radio club to participate. The net is 90 minutes long, structured in several parts, which I'll whiz through very rapidly. General announcements, Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events, National Space Society events, discussion topic of the evening by the net control, was up, space exploration and space history, the constellation of the week, and if we have time, space launches of the week, and then we have recent astronomical discoveries, and if we have time, visible satellite passage over the next couple of days, and any astronomical questions and answers, followed by 73, which means we close the net. All amateurs licensed to transmit on this frequency are invited to check in. Now let's start. This is N5BB, Skynet. Do we have any low power or short time check-ins? Any low power or short time check-ins? If so, please come now with your call sign, your name, and where you're transmitting from. This is N5BB, Skynet.
This is Whiskey Bravo number 4, Mike Foxtrot India, WB4MFI, Ted Dallas Low Power.
Take the hell of a day to quit sniffing glue.
This is Whiskey 5 Golf Uniform Sierra Gus, far northeast Dallas, low power.
Kilo India 5 Uniform Alpha Uniform, David and Mesquite, low power.
Kilo 5, Mike Charlie Delta, Cody in Dallas, low power.
Okay. There was one station that I did not understand at all. I do recognize Ted, WB4MFI, Gus, W5GUS, David, KF5UAU, and Cody, K5MCD, all low power. Do we have any other low power or short-time check-ins to Skynet? This is N5BB, net control. Nothing heard. Now let's go to general RF check-ins. Anybody like a check-in? We'll do Echolink later. Anybody would like to check in on RF to Skynet, please come now with your name, your call sign, and your location. Please use phonetics for your call sign. This is N5BB. General check-ins. Go ahead.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Juliet Hotel Alpha, Chaz, Mesquite. Yes, with a cold.
Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray, Tom, Louisville.
Zulu Lima, Brenda and DeSoto. November Victor 5, Foxtrot, Virginia in Fort Worth.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Zulu Bravo Lima, Bill Farmers Branch.
Well, I was waiting, but we may have a short list tonight. I recognize Chaz, KF5JHA, with a cold. Hope you get well soon, Chaz. Then Tom, KE5ICX, Brenda, WB5OZL, Virginia, NV5F, and Bill, KF5ZBL. Do we have any other RF check-ins to Skynet? If so, please come now.
November 5, Oscar Foxtrot, Clay of Mesquite.
So Tommy from Balch Springs.
Kilo India 5, Kilo Whiskey Golf, Cruise in Arlington.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Alpha Papa Lima, Patrick in Dallas.
November 5, Oscar Foxtrot, Clay of Mesquite.
We got you twice, Clay. Okay, there were several doubles, but I did get Clay in 50F. You came through crystal clear both times, Clay. No problem. Tommy in Balch Springs, you were covered up. What was your call sign, Tommy?
This is Tommy at Kilo India 5, Zulu Oscar Echo. That's KI5ZOE.
KI5ZOE. We got you, Tommy. Cruz, you were partially covered up. Come now with your call sign again, Cruz.
Kilo India 5, Kilo Whiskey Golf.
Came through perfectly. KF5KWZ, thank you. And Patrick, KG5APL. I think there was one or two other doubles. Does anybody else would like to check in to Skynet via RF? If so, please come now with your call sign, your name, and your location. This is Inside BB Net Control.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Whiskey Victor Lima, James and Carrollton.
One more, KG5WVL. So is that all? Do we have any other last check-ins on RF? If so, come now. Nothing heard. Now let's go over here to Echolink, and we're getting ready to drop Chaz. He needs a cough drop, so we'll pick him up and drop him, and maybe his cough will go away. And he's smoking hot, but he's not smoking, I don't think. Anyway, so we got Chaz already. We got Tom. Jack, W9LOL. Hey, Jack, do you want to check in on a voice here to Skynet? If so, come now with your call sign and your location. Well, Jack maybe should be monitoring in the background. Kelly, K5KTX, in the metropolis of Point, Texas. You want to check in on voice, Kelly?
This is Kilo 5, Kilo Tango X-Ray, Kelly in Point.
We have the point, Kelly, and I can't stop but remember the song and the film about having a point. Very good. AA5AH, Robert, you want to check in on voice?
Alpha 5 Alpha Hotel Robert in Richardson, Texas, checking in.
We got you, Robert, AA5AH. And then our old friend is back again. Shane in Blue Springs, Missouri, W0MBC. Shane, you want to check in, and do you have Bethany with you this evening?
Control, Whiskey 0, Mike Bravo Charlie. Into the net. Missed y'all.
Okay, very good. We missed you and Bethany. Very good to hear you back on again. Okay. Do we have anybody else that would like to check in to Skynet via any mode? This is N5BB, net control. Nothing heard. Okay, do we have any general announcements for tonight's net? This might be related to amateur radio, astronomy, space, or something of general interest to licensed hams. If so, please come with your call sign only. General announcements. This is N5BB, net control for Skynet.
KE5ICX.
Go ahead, Tom, K5ICX, N5BB. Go ahead with your announcements.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. This is actually sent to me by another ham. I don't think he's actually checked in on our net this evening, but there's something up. It's, I guess, kind of a STEM event. This is called Exploring the Electromagnetic Spectrum. It is online. I believe it's for kids. It says the National Radio Astronomy Observatory, or NRAO, in the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, is excited about funding we've received from Amateur Radio Digital Communications, ARDC, to deliver a 2-year project exploring the electromagnetic spectrum. It says here that this innovative project will educate high school and college students about the electromagnetic spectrum, and will, while sharing the excitement of amateur radio among BIPOC and LGBTQIA+ students, says the EMS Ham Radio Project, one, introduces students to the EMS as a natural resource and wireless technologies. 2, delivers a scalable, shareable curriculum via Super that deepen subject matter and creates a mutually supportive cohort of amateur radio enthusiasts. Supports student's attainment of technician and general class FCC amateur radio license. If you want to get additional information on this, you can go to superknova, that's one word, .org/ham radio project and put a hyphen between those three words. That's superknova.org/ham radio project and put a hyphen between those three words, and it will take you directly to the site. So that's what I got, Bill. Back to you, KE5I6.
Okay. Thank you very much, Tom. Does anybody have any questions about Tom's item, or do we have any other news? This is N5BB, net control for Skynet. I'll be talking about this later in that, but just while we got everybody here early on, I want to remind everybody that a little less than 3 weeks from now, on May the 25th, 26th, 27th, and 28th, the early part of the Memorial Day weekend, we have a big event in Frisco, Texas, right north of Dallas, the International Space Development Conference. Put it on your calendar. Come and visit. It'll be fun. Great fun. Okay, next, let's see. AMSAT has some nets on Tuesday night at 8 p.m. on this repeater. We have a net about satellite operation. All are welcome to check in. It's not only about AMSAT, it's about any satellites. And then on the this is every Tuesday night except for the club meeting night. And then on Wednesday evening at 9 p.m. on the Arlington 147.14 repeater, we have another AMSAT/satellite net. So, again, on this repeater, 146.88, Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. On the Arlington 147.14 megahertz repeater, Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. You can learn about satellites and AMSAT, the Amateur Satellite Corporation. Then there's a lot of nets here that occur on this repeater. On Monday night, there's something going on every Monday night at 7 p.m. The first and third weeks, it's Ham Fixings Net, food. The second week of the month, it's the Emergency Communications. The fourth week of the month, it's the Geek Night, all kinds of techno-geeky stuff. If there is a fifth week of the month, and there is not always, just some months, it's a surprise net. If we told you what it was, it wouldn't be a surprise. We quite often don't know until the last minute anyway. So those are nights occurring on Monday evenings at 7 p.m. on this repeater. Tuesday evenings, as I mentioned earlier, we have the AMSAT net East at 8 p.m. Friday evenings, we have the CERT City Simulation net at 8 p.m. This is all about emergency communications. Then disaster kind of things happening. Then on Saturdays at 7 p.m., we have TechNet for all kinds of technical things and general announcements. And then, of course, at 9 p.m., we have this net, Skynet. Then at 10:30 on Saturday nights, like tonight, we have the Afterglow net. More about that later. On the first and third Sundays of each month at 7 p.m., we have the Dallas Amateur Radio Club meeting on the air. You can come and find out how other people are doing, what they're doing relating to amateur radio, and describe to other people how you've been radio active. This is N5BB, Skynet, net control. Then, every evening at 6:30 p.m. on this repeater, we have the National Traffic System Training Net, where we move message traffic, training message traffic. At 9:30 p.m. every evening, there's another message traffic net on the Irving 146.72 megahertz repeater. So that's all of our nets. Speaking of nets, Tom, KE5ICX, can you describe this crazy afterglow net that we're going to be, the movie that we're going to be talking about at 10:30 this evening? Go right ahead, Tom, KE5ICX and 5BB, Skynet.
Why, yes, Bill, I'll be happy to do that. Here is tonight's Afterglow synopses. Max Rokitansky was on the beat, and being an MFP cop in the vast wasteland of Australia wasn't a bed of roses. The police did a lot of things: enforce traffic laws, take care of domestic disturbances, respond to noise complaints, investigate exploding milk trucks, stop marauding motorcycle gangs from blowing up local towns, and of course, prevent people from siphoning gas from charred diesel tankers left on the side of the road due to the lack of functioning rest stops and clean restroom gas stations. It was obvious Australia was going to hell in a bloody handbasket. On the police radio came a report that berserk night rider Montanzano was out yelling at the neighbors' kids and selling them to New Zealand at a greatly discounted rate. Whatever happened to fair and free enterprise as Rokitansky? You try and say his name. Join us for the ultimate Bad Boys, What You Gonna Do movie, the original Mad Max from 1979. That's tonight at 10:30 p.m. Back to you, Bill, KE5ICX.
Oh boy, Tom, I remember when this movie came out. It's like dystopian hippies in the future. Ah! Okay, do we have any other check-ins to Skynet? This is N5BB, net control. Nothing heard. Chaz, if your cold will permit it, can you describe the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events? This is N5BB, net control. KF5JHA, go ahead.
Thank you, Bill. I'll try not to cough too much during my episodes here on the net. The next Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas Club meeting will be held on Friday, May the 26th. The meeting will be held at 7:30 p.m. in person at the University of Texas at Dallas, and also held on Zoom. The featured speaker will be Teen Task, VP, Vice President. Yes, we have a teen segment of Task. And her and Hannah Singer, their topic will be about the Northwest Earth and Space Sciences Pathways and NASA internships. Now, Saturday night public observing sessions have begun again. Skynet was picked to be on Saturday night so that there could be an opportunity for live reports from the TASS public observing sessions. Now, tonight, I'm sure, was canceled. The first Saturday of the month is held at Fairview, but I'll bet it didn't happen because of the clouds and the imminent rain. Hope we don't get pushed off the air because of a sky warning. Anyway, let me see. Yeah, it was canceled. Thank you, Kelly. I don't know how to figure out when it is canceled. Anyway, you can check the TASS website, Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas website, texasastro.org, for up-to-date information and details about meetings and public observing sessions. And that's it for me for now. It's back to you, Bill. This is KF5JHA.
Well, very good, Chaz. Okay, do we have any other check-ins or comments or questions before we move forward with the net? This is N5BB, Skynet, net control. Okay, next you get to listen to me for a while, unfortunately. First, it's about the National Space Society. This is a nonprofit organization that actually has international members. that is concerned with things that humans do in space, like rockets that go up, and what's on those rockets, humans or machines. The big event coming up is in less than 3 weeks. The International Space Development Forum Conference in Frisco, Texas, right north of Dallas. This will be at the Embassy Suites by... So ISDC 2023, that stands for International Space Development Conference. Will be held again May 25th to 28th, the first part of the Memorial Day weekend. Embassy Suites by Hilton, right off of Dallas North Tollway, a bit north of Bush Turnpike, up in Frisco. You can find information about it by looking on with a web search or going to the URL isdc2023.nss.org. The North Texas chapter of the National Space Society has a website, which is ntx.nss.org. Our local meetings are held on the second Sunday of each month at the Spring Creek Barbecue location on Highway 183 at Beltline Road in Irving. Our next chapter meeting will be held on Sunday afternoon, May the 14th at 3:30 p.m. So it's not tomorrow, it's a week after tomorrow, Mother's Day. The presentation will be the National Space Society Roadmap to Space. That's Roadmap to Space. What's going on over the next few decades, as far as the National Space Society believes, involving things in space, space hotels, humans living near the Earth, humans living on the Moon, humans going to Mars. Spacecraft that are going to other planets and other places in our solar system. I happen to be the member-at-large and membership director of the local chapter of National Space Society. So if you have any questions about the National Space Society or the International Space Development Conference, you can contact me at space@byrom.net. That's SPACE@BYROM.net, or N5BB, that's November 5 Bravo Bravo, at ARRL.net. The local chapter of the National Space Society has an active Facebook page. You can search for National Space Society of North Texas and find it. And of course, I gave our URL for our website earlier. We have one social event every month, which we'll be skipping in May because it's the last Friday of the month, and that'll be during International Space Development Conference. And we have a meeting every month, and we also have activities we do at libraries and museums and other fun places, universities. So a lot of activities if you get involved with National Space Society, including Moon Day. Okay, does anybody have any questions about National Space Society, or do we have any check-ins? This is N5BB, Skynet. Okay, again, this is N5BB, the Dallas Amateur Radio Club Skynet. Next, I'm going to read most of an article in the New York Times, of all places. They have an interesting science section. And this article came out on May the 2nd by Dennis Overby, who is has a regular articles that he publishes there at New York Times, quite a few articles about science-related things. And the name of this article is Who will have the last word on the universe. Modern science suggests that we and all our achievements and memories are destined to vanish like a dream. Is that sad or good? So we're going a little philosophical this evening. This is N5BB Skynet. The end is coming in maybe 100 billion years. Is it too soon to start freaking out? There will be a last sentient being. There will be a last thought, declared Jana Levin, a cosmologist at Barnard College, near the end of A Trip to Infinity, a new Netflix documentary directed by Jonathan Halperin and Drew Takahashi. When I heard that statement, there will be a last sentient being, there will be a last thought. During a showing of the film recently, it broke my heart. It was the saddest, loneliest idea I had ever contemplated. I thought I was aware and knowledgeable about our shared cosmic predicament. Namely, that if we think we know, if what we think we know about physics and cosmology is true, life and intelligence are doomed. I thought I had made some kind of intellectual peace with that. But this was an angle that I hadn't thought of before. At some point in the future, there will be somewhere in the universe where there will be a last sentient being and a last thought. And that last word, no matter how profound or mundane, will vanish into silence, along with the memory of Einstein and Elvis, Jesus, Buddha, Aretha, and Eve, while the remaining bits of the physical universe go on sailing apart for billions upon billions upon billions of lonely, silent years. Will that last thought be a profound pearl of wisdom or an expletive? This is N5BB Skynet. How did we humans get into this fix? The universe as we know it originated in a fiery burst 13.8 billion years ago and has been flying apart ever since. Astronomers argued for decades about whether it would go on expanding forever or someday collapse again into a big crunch. All that changed in 1998 when astronomers discovered that the cosmic expansion was speeding up, boosted by an anti-gravitational force that is part of the fabric of space-time. The bigger the universe gets, the harder this dark energy pushes it apart. This new force bears a striking resemblance to the cosmological constant, a cosmic repulsion Einstein had proposed as a fudge factor in his equations, as a way of explaining why the universe did not collapse, but later rejected as a blunder. But the cosmological constant refused to die, and now it threatens to wreck physics in the universe. This is N5BB Skynet. In the end, if this dark energy prevails, distant galaxies will eventually be speeding away so fast that we can't see them anymore. The more time goes on, it will be like living inside an inside-out black hole, sucking matter, energy, and information over the horizon, never to return. Worse, because thinking takes energy, eventually there will not be enough energy in the universe to hold a thought. In the end, there will only be subatomic particles dancing intergalactic distances away from each other in a dark silence, trillions upon trillions of years after there was any light or life in the universe. And then more uncountable trillions of eons to come, until there is finally no way to count the years, as Brian Greene, the popular Columbia University theorist and author, so elegantly and devastatingly described in his recent book, Until the End of Time. It's hard not to want to scream at our own insignificance in all of this. If this is, in fact, what the universe will come to, the universe as we know it is now 14 billion years old, which seems like a long time, but is only an infinitesimal sliver of the trillions and quadrillions of years of darkness to come. It will mean that everything interesting in our universe happened in a brief flash at the very beginning. Promising start and then an eternal abyss. The finality and futility of it all. This is N5BB, Skynet, net control. In short, a tale full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. What do we do with a universe like this? You may point out that it is way too soon to be prescribing a future for the universe. New discoveries in physics could provide an escape hatch. Maybe dark energy will not be constant. Maybe it will turn around and recompress the universe. In an email, Michael Turner, the cosmologist emeritus, formerly at the University of Chicago, who coined the term dark energy, referring to the Greek letter symbolizing Einstein's cosmological constant, said, lambda would be the most uninteresting answer to the dark energy puzzle. But for now, that is what we have forward to look. But for now, that is what we have to look forward to. Our goose will be cooked 1 billion or so years from now, when the sun boils away the oceans. A few billion years later, the sun itself will die, burning Earth and anything that remains of us to a crisp. There's no escaping a space. The galaxies themselves will collapse into black holes in about 10 to the 30th years. By the way, that's a long time. And black holes will finally release all that they have imprisoned as a thin spray of particles and radiation to be scattered into the prevailing wind of dark energy, whisking them apart. In some variations on the story, known as the Big Rip, dark energy could eventually grow strong enough to tear apart the tombstones that mark your grave. This is N5BB, Skynet. And so, just as there was a first living creature somewhere, sometime, to emerge from the splendid blaze of the Big Bang, there will be a last creature to die, a last thought, a last sentient being, as Dr. Levin pointed out. That idea is what stopped me short. It had never occurred to me that some individual being would have the last word on existence, the last chance to curse or be grateful. Part of the pain is that nobody will know who or what had the last word, or what was thought or said. Somehow that notion made cosmic extinction more personal, and I wondered what it would be like. Maybe as all the energy dwindles away over the horizon, it will be like falling asleep, or like Einstein mumbling his last words in German to a nurse who didn't know the language. Or the computer at the end of time, in Isaac Asimov's classic story, The Last Question, finally figuring out the secret of the universe and declaring, "Let there be light." Might it be some blazing realization about the nature of string theory, or the final secret about black holes? I hate to miss out on it. This is N5BB, Skynet. I'd like to think my last thought would be one of love or gratitude or awe or about the face of a loved one, but I worry it would be an expletive. Wiser people than me ask, when I go on about this, why I don't whine about the billions of years that passed before I was born. Perhaps it's because I didn't know what I was missing, whereas now I've had a lifetime to imagine what I'll miss. If that worries you, here is an encouraging metaphor straight from Einstein's equations. When you are inside a black hole, light pours in from the outside universe, which seems to speed up while you appear to be frozen. In principle, you could see the whole future history of the galaxy, or even the whole universe, speed past you as you fall toward the center, the singularity where space and time stop and you die. Maybe death would be like it. It could be like that. A revelation of all the past and future. In a sense, when we die, the future dies too. This is N5BB, Skynet. Rather than whine about the end of time, most of the physicists and astronomers I talk to say the notion is a relief. The death of the future frees them to concentrate on the magic of the moment. The late, great astrophysicist, philosopher, and black hole evangelist John Archibald Wheeler of Princeton, and by the way also of University of Texas in Austin, used to say that the past and the future are fiction, that they only exist in the artifacts and the imaginations of the present. According to that point of view, the universe ends with me. And so in a sense, I do have the final word. Nothing lasts forever is a maxim that applies to the stock market and the stars, as well as to our lives and Buddhist sand paintings. A whiff of eternity can illuminate an entire lifetime, perhaps even mine. No matter what happens in the endless eons to come, at least we were here for the party, for the brief, shining sliver of eternity when the universe teemed with life and light. We'll always have the Milky Way. End of article. This is N5BB, Skynet net control. Do we have any check-ins? Okay, now that we've contemplated the end of time and history, Chaz is going to talk about what's happening now, right now. Chaz, what's up? KF5JHA, this is N5BB, Skynet.
Well, thank you, Bill. What's up right now? Actually, our DFW area has just been placed under a severe thunderstorm watch until 4 a.m. Just thought I'd let you know that little bit of detail. And Tarrant County might go under a severe thunderstorm warning in a few minutes. Okay, Slide Master, slide number 1. Our Slide Master is Tom General. Thank you, Tom. This is Chaz, KF5JHA, and we call this segment of Skynet What's Up, because it's all about what's going on astronomically over the next couple of weeks. Slide number 2, please. On May the 5th, that was yesterday, was full moon. So the current phase of the moon is a waning gibbous. May the 11th, the moon is at perigee, which is a point in the moon's orbit that is closest to the Earth at a distance of 369,343 kilometers. Third quarter moon occurs on May the 12th. New moon is on May the 19th. May 25th, the moon is at apogee, which is the point in the moon's orbit that is furthest from the Earth at a distance of 404,509 kilometers. Slide Master, slide number 3, please. Now, last night technically was the night of May the 5th, 6th, which was the peak of the Eta Aquariid meteor shower, with up to a maximum of 55 meters per hour. Now, the problem is it was full moon, and so there wasn't probably that many meteors visible, even if you're out in the countryside. But this is one of the major meteor showers during the year. It's famous for being the result of the debris left behind by comet Halley, or Halley. On the night of May the 8th and 9th, the Eta Lyrid meteor shower reaches its maximum with only about 3 meters per hour. It is associated with the debris left behind by comet C1983H1, also known as Araki-Alcott. For more information on meteors and meteor showers, you can visit the International Meteor Organization at IMO.net or the American Meteor Society at AMSmeteors.org. Slide Master, slide number 4, please. On May the 13th, the Moon and Saturn will be in conjunction in the southeastern morning sky. Slide Master, slide number 5. On May the 15th, the Moon and Neptune will be in conjunction in the eastern morning sky. Now, you can't see Neptune with your two eyes. In fact, you really can't see Neptune with a pair of binoculars. You'll need a telescope and a good finder chart. So even though it's close to the Moon, you'll need some astronomical things to help you out, like a telescope and a good star map. Slide Master, slide number 6. On May the 16th, the largest asteroid Ceres and the bright star Denebola will be in conjunction in the constellation of Leo the Lion in the evening sky. And slide Master number 7. On May the 17th, the Moon and the planet Jupiter will be in conjunction in the eastern morning sky. And this is KF5JJ, and this is Skynet. Slide Master, slide number 8. Once again, the Task Club meeting will be held on Friday, May the 26th, 2023 at 7:30 p.m. at the University of Texas at Dallas. Skynet was picked to be on Saturday night so that there would be an opportunity to reports from the public observing sessions, but that didn't happen tonight because of clouds. It would have been at Fairview if it would have happened. If you want to get more information about TASS and its activities, go to texasastro.org for up-to-date information and details. Slide Master, slide number 9. Now, do any of you out there in Radioland have any questions or need a fill on any of the information, or do you just have a general astronomy question? Come now with your call sign if you have a question or need a fill. Hearing nothing, so as the moon wanes, so do these words for this segment of Skynet. Stay safe, keep well, pray for our world. It's the only one where humans live right now. And until next time, actually I may be doing another segment on Skynet in a few minutes. Keep looking up so you know what's up. And this is KF5JHA singing it back to our net control. Bill, N5BB, it's yours.
Thank you, Chaz. This is N5BB, net control for Skynet. Do we have any additional check-ins or questions? If so, come now with your call sign. By the way, I just wanted to comment that there's some very, as I'm sure you all know, there's some very unfortunate news from Alan this afternoon. And even more unfortunate is the news about how many people have passed away. So you might want to check your news feed. It's a very unfortunate situation. I won't say any more about it here. Okay. Brenda, excuse me, Kelly, K5KTX. I believe it's your night for space exploration and space history. Take it away, Kelly, K5KTX. In Point, Texas, this is N5BB, Skynet.
is K5KTX. So reanalysis of data from NASA's Voyager spacecraft, yes, it's still out there, along with new computer modeling has led NASA scientists to conclude that 4 of Uranus's largest moons likely contain an ocean layer between their cores and icy crust. Their study is the first to detail the evolution of the interior makeup and structure of all 5 large moons: Ariel, Umbriel, Titania, Oberon, and Miranda. The work suggests 4 of the moons hold oceans that could be dozens of miles deep. In all, at least 27 moons circle Uranus, with the 4 largest ranging from Ariel at 725 miles across to Titania, which is 980 miles across. Scientists have long thought that Titania, given its size, would be most likely to retain internal heat caused by radioactive decay. The other moons had previously been widely considered too small to retain the heat necessary to keep an internal ocean from freezing, especially because heating created by the gravitational pull of Uranus is only a minor source of heat. The National Academy's 2023 Planetary Science and Astrobiology Decadal Survey prioritized exploring Uranus. In preparation for such a mission, planetary scientists are focusing on the ice giant to bolster their knowledge about the mysterious Uranus system. Published in the Journal of Geophysical Research, the new work could inform how a future mission might investigate the moons, but the paper also has implications that go beyond Uranus, said lead author Julie Casillo-Rodriguez of NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Southern California. Study revisited findings from NASA's Voyager 2 flybys of Uranus in the 1980s and from ground-based observations. The authors built computer models infused with additional findings from NASA's Galileo, Cassini, Dawn, and New Horizons, each of which discovered ocean worlds, including insights into the chemistry and geology of Saturn's moon Enceladus, Pluto and its moon Charon, and Ceres, all icy bodies around the same size as the Uranian moons. The researchers used that modeling to gauge how porous the Uranian moon's surfaces are, finding that they're likely insulated enough to retain the internal heat that would be needed to host an ocean. In addition, they found what could be a potential heat source in the moon's rocky mantles, which release hot liquid and would help an ocean maintain a warm environment, a scenario that is especially likely for Titania and Oberon, where the oceans may even be warm enough to potentially support habitability. Investigating the composition of the ocean, scientists can learn about materials that might be found on the moon's icy surfaces as well, depending on whether substances underneath were pushed up from below by geological activity. There is evidence from telescopes that at least one of the moons, Ariel, has material that flowed onto its surface, perhaps from icy volcanoes relatively recently. In fact, Miranda, the innermost and 5th largest moon, also hosts surface features that appear to be of recent origin, suggesting it may have held enough heat to maintain an ocean at some point. The recent thermal modeling found that Miranda is unlikely to have hosted water for long. It loses heat too quickly and is probably frozen now. But internal heat wouldn't be the only factor contributing to a moon's subsurface ocean. A key finding in the study suggests that chlorides, as well as ammonia, are likely abundant in the oceans of the icy giant's largest moons. Ammonia has been long known to act as an antifreeze. In addition, the modeling suggests that salts likely present in the water would be another source of antifreeze, maintaining the body's internal oceans. Of course, there are still a lot of questions about the large moons of Uranus, adding that there is plenty more work to be done. Digging into what lies beneath and on the surfaces of these moons will help scientists and engineers choose the best science instruments to survey them. For instance, determining that ammonia and chlorides may be present means that spectrometers, which detect compounds by their reflected light, would need to use a wavelength range that covers both kinds of compounds. Likely they can use that knowledge to design instruments that can probe the deep interior for liquid. Searching for electrical currents that contribute to a moon's magnetic field is generally the best way to find a deep ocean. as the Galileo mission scientists did at Jupiter's moon, Europa. However, the cold water in the interior oceans of moons such as Ariel and Umbriel could make the oceans less able to carry these electrical currents and would present a new kind of challenge for scientists working to figure out what lies beneath. This is K5KTX for Skynet. Now in NASA space history for this past week, beginning on May the 1st, back in 1949, Gerard Kuiper discovered Nereid, one of the largest and outermost of Neptune's known moons. In fact, Nereid is far enough from Neptune that it takes 360 Earth days to complete a single orbit. Scientists believe the odd nature of Nereid's orbit suggests that the moon may be a captured asteroid, or that it was greatly disturbed during the capture of Triton, Neptune's largest moon. Kuiper suggested the name Nereid after the sea nymphs of Greek mythology, following suit with Neptune and its satellite sea-based mythology namesakes. Among Kuiper's numerous other achievements, he predicted the existence of a donut-shaped region of minor planets and other icy objects outside the orbit of Neptune. This region, named the Kuiper Belt in his honor, is one of the main focuses of the New Horizons mission that launched in 2006 and explored Pluto in 2015. May the 5th, back in 1961, Alan Shepard became the first American in space. His suborbital flight in Freedom 7 reached a maximum speed of 8,200 kilometers per hour and an altitude of 116.5 miles. The mission objective was to test the capabilities of a person during space flight. The capsule didn't have a window, so Shepard could only view his surroundings through a periscope. The capsule splashdown occurred in the Atlantic Ocean. Shepard and the capsule were recovered by a helicopter by the crew of the USS Lake Champlain. Right, and this past week we had a lot of astronaut birthdays, so I think if you're astronauts, you need to be born between April the 30th and May the 6th. Apparently. Okay, so let's run down the list. So starting with April the 30th, 1945, Michael Smith, who was part of the ill-fated Challenger mission STS-51L. April 30th, 1957, Dwayne Carey, who was part of the space shuttle mission STS-109. Also on April the 30th, 1976, rock star Victor Glover, who was part of the SpaceX Crew 1, as part of Expedition 6465, and as you may know, he was just named as a crew for the upcoming Artemis II mission. May the 1st, back in 1925, was the birthday of Scott Carpenter, who was on the Mercury Atlas 7 mission. May the 2nd, 1957, Dominic Tudwill-Gorey was part of Space Shuttle missions STS-91, 99, 108, and 123. Also on May the 2nd, 1975, Dorothy Metcalf Lindenberger, Space Shuttle mission STS-131. May the 3rd, 1949, Albert Sacco, Space Shuttle mission STS-73. And May the 4th, 1956, Michael L. Gernhardt, Space Shuttle missions STS-69, 83, 94, and 104. Rounding out the last group, May the 5th, 1930, Michael Adams, who was the pilot for the X-15 Flight 191. May the 5th, 1960, one of my favorite astronauts that I've had some wonderful conversations with, Douglas Wheelock, who was Space Shuttle mission STS-120, was on Soyuz TMA-19 as part of Expedition 24 and 25. And May the 6th, today, 1949, David Leesma, Space Shuttle missions STS-41G, 28, and 45. And finally, May the 6th, 1955, Donald A. Thomas, Space Shuttle missions STS-65, 70, 83, and 94, and happy birthday to all of those. And that's all I've got this week. This is K5KTX. Back to you, Bill.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Do we have any additional check-ins or any questions? This is N5BB, Net Control for Skynet. I just have to throw something in here. Kelly mentioned early on in her news there that the Voyager spacecraft were used to get information about those moons and everything. Well, it was just announced within the last 2 weeks that Voyager 2 is going to be able to continue operating a lot longer without turning off an instrument. So Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 were launched close to each other, but if I remember correctly, Voyager 2 is launched on a different orbit and is ahead of Voyager 1 and further away. It's more than 12 billion miles away right now. And Voyager 2 has 5 science instruments that are operating. And they have a radioactive thermal generator to power it. They were going to shut down one instrument this year to let the other instruments still operate because the radioactive thermal generator, its plutonium, is starting to degrade. You know, it's radioactive, and so it has a half-life. Well, it turns off, they've determined that they can instead turn off a voltage regulating feature in the satellite, and although there's a small risk, it's not very great. And when they turn that off, they think they can operate for several more years without turning off any instruments. So that's great news. Voyager 1 does not have, one of its instruments failed early on, and so it has one fewer instrument operating, and so they don't have to worry until next year to make a decision about Voyager 1. These are amazing spacecraft. They were launched over 45 years ago in 1977. Can you believe that? Okay, next, let's talk about Miss Carolyn's constellation of the week. Chaz, KF5JHA. Chaz, the last letter in your call was truncated from the script. You're A-list, Chaz. Go ahead, Chaz. KF5JH. This is N5BB.
So does that mean I'm on the A-list? Slidemaster, slide number 11. Miss Carolyn's constellation of the week is named in honor of Silent T. Caroline, KC5OZT. Caroline contributed to Skynet each week, almost from its beginning in 2012 until May of 2019, with a detailed look at one particular constellation each week. Since there are about 52 easily visible constellations seen in Texas throughout the year out of the 88 total constellations, so Miss Caroline covered the entire sky as seen over North Texas in a year. And in her honor, we have continued that tradition of a constellation per week and named this segment after her. Miss Carolyn's constellations of the week this week are Crater the Cup and Corvus the Crow. Slidemaster, slide number 12. Now, how do you find Crater and Corvus? Let's start with something that I think we've already talked about. Virgo has a bright star called Spica. If you just go down south of Spica, just a little bit to the right and west from Spica, you'll run into the constellation of Corvus and Crater. Slidemaster, slide number 13, what everyone's been waiting for. Actually, since there's 2 constellations, I have 2 slides full of jokes. What do you call an illness that targets crows? Come on, this is an easy one over the last 3 years. You should be able to get this. COVID-19. Okay. Why are ravens so smart? Because they spend all of their time hanging out at the college. Okay, maybe you get this one. I saved a baby raven, and now it won't leave. I guess you could say he's Micro. Get it, micro? Before the invention of the crowbar, crows had to drink at home. What's the difference between a raven and a crow? All right, this takes a little while to set up. Pinion feathers are the feathers at the tip of the bird's wing that allows it to fly. They're also the ones that people will trim to prevent birds from flying away. Crows have 5 pinion feathers, while ravens only have 6. So if you think about it, the difference between a crow and a raven is just a matter of opinion. That was a long, drawn-out thing for a joke, wasn't it? Slide Master, slide number 14. Oh no, we're not through with joke shed. An optimist says the cup is half full. The pessimist says the cup is half empty. The optometrist says you both need glasses. I learned from my friend John Cotton that an optimist says that a cup is half full. The pessimist says the cup is half empty. But an engineer says the cup is too big for the amount of water you have. John, I hope you listen to one of these Skynets someday. He is a ham radio operator. What do you call a sad cup of coffee? A depresso. Someone who stole my favorite cup, my coffee cup, right off my desk at work. Now I have to go down to the police station and look at some mug shots. If a cup has had holy water in it, a vampire should never drink from it. There's too much risk of cross-contamination. And the final joke of this whole sequence, a king has 3 cups in front of him. The first 2 cups are full, the 3rd cup is empty. What is the king's name? King Philip the Third. You know, at the task meetings, when I get to the last joke, they all applaud because it's the last joke. So I guess I hear some applause out there. Slide Master, slide number 15, please. The constellation of Crater represents the goblet or the cup of Apollo. There is a reason that the 3 constellations, Crater, Corvus, and Hydra, are all together in the sky. It's because they are all from the same story in Greek mythology, where Apollo gave his cup to Corvus the crow, or raven, and sent him on a mission to fetch the waters of life. However, Corvus was lazy and rested in a tree while waiting for the fruit to ripen, which he ate after a lengthy rest. When Corvus finally fetched the water, he also brought back a water snake, using it to lie to Apollo, saying that the snake delayed him. Apollo saw through the lie and angrily threw the crow, the cup, and the water snake in the sky, where they became the constellations of Corvus, Crater, and Hydra. I think we've talked about Hydra recently, haven't we? Gamma Crater is a fairly easy double star. Its primary star is a pair of white A-type main sequence stars and shines at a magnitude of 4.08, while the companion shines at only a magnitude of 9.6. The system is 84 light years from our solar system. Slide Master, slide number 16. NGC 3513 is a magnitude 11 barred spiral galaxy with some irregular structure. The central bar is fairly easy to make out in a 17-inch telescope, but the spiral arm structure may be seen, but with difficulty. You need a large telescope for that. Slide Master, slide number 17. NGC 3511 is another barred spiral galaxy of type SB little b c. It's a magnitude 12 in brightness and is a 4 by 1 minute of arc and area. This galaxy is seen obliquely, which means it's difficult to clearly resolve the spiral arms. NGC 3511 and NGC 3513 together make a nice galaxy in about the same field of view. This is KF5, JHA, and this is Skynet. Slide Master, slide number 18, please. Corvus is the Latin word which means crow or raven. In taxonomy, the science of animal classification, the genus of Corvus includes both crows and ravens. Corvus and the neighboring constellation of Crater, the Cup, both appear to be riding on the back of Hydra, the water snake. Just told you the story about that. Delta Corvi means raven. Its name Algorabad means raven. It's a double star and it's easily split. Binary nature was first noticed by John Herschel and J. Smith in 1823. No change in their positions or separation have been seen between the two stars since then. Slide Master, slide number 19. The Stargate. Quoting from a Task Spectrum newsletter article, the Stargate cluster is an asterism. He was searching for M104 with his binoculars. This group of stars reminded John of the Stargate used by Buck Rogers to travel into outer space, so John named it Stargate. Officially, the star cluster is classified as STF 1659. This is known from the catalog of Frederick Struve. First noted in the group in 1832. The Stargate is also known as HD 109556. The cluster consists of a set of 6 stars that form a set of nested equilateral triangles. John named the group the Stargate at the Texas Star Party back in the 1980s, and the name has stuck. This is actually an arrow of stars. There is actually an arrow of stars that point to the Stargate. It's really neat. It was pointed out to me by John Wagner. Slide Master, slide number 20, please. Speaking of M104, the Sombrero Galaxy, it's really in Virgo, but it's so close to the Virgo-Corvus border that it's tempting to include it here. So I have. Besides, before the constellation boundaries were formed by the International Astronomical Union in 1930, M104 was often listed as being in Corvus. Many astronomers believe that M104 is an outlying member of the Virgo cluster of galaxies. In his book, The Messier Object, Stephen James Amiro notes that M104 has a place in history. In 1913, Vesto Slifer at the Laurel Observatory studied the spectrum of M104 and became the first astronomer to detect rotation in a galaxy other than our own. That's pretty neat. Slide Master, slide number 21, please. Glad this is the last object. My voice is almost gone. NGC 4027 is another unusual galaxy. It's located very close to the Antenna Galaxy, which is only about 40 arc minutes away, and both it and the Antenna Galaxy can fit in the same low-power field of view. However, it is a bit difficult to see, so you'll need a clear, dark, moonless sky to find it, and a large telescope will help. Robert Burnham, Jr., in his Burnham's Celestial Handbook, noted that in 1943, Harlow Shapley wrote that NGC 4027 and NGC 403839 are almost certainly physically associated, or have been at least in the past. Burnham writes that this probable companion system to these two resembles a one-armed spiral galaxy, and its single tail curving to the north and east in a general direction of the ringtail. The projected separation of the two systems is about 1 million light years, which implies that the interaction, if any, must have occurred some distant time ago. And this is KF5JJ, and this is Skynet. Slide Master, slide number 22. Now, there's a few more Astronomical League observing program objects and constellations of Crater the Cup and Corvus the Crow. I've just given you a sampling of some of those objects. The Astronomical League has, at last count, about 75 different observing programs, and most of those have about 100 objects. Now, if you observe just 10 different objects in an observing program each month, then you can earn an observing certificate and a pen in about a year. Slide Master, slide number 23, and that is Miss Carolyn's constellations of the week, Crater the Crow and Corvus crater the Cup at Corvus the Crow. I want to thank my friends Dave Hutchinson and Dennis Harwell for the research and words on deep sky objects that I've used, borrow, and steal for every Skynet. I also at times use the website constellation-guide.com for information. Now next time we'll take a look at Ursa Major, the Big Bear, and Ursa Minor, the Little Bear. And this is KF5JHA, sending it back to our net control. Bill, N5BB, it's all yours. 73, everyone.
Thanks, Chaz. This is N5BB, net control for Skynet. I'm going to skip ahead. So, Brenda, WB5OZL, can you give us your recent astronomical discoveries? WB5OZL, this is N5BB, Skynet.
Absolutely. This article is entitled Astronomers Find Distant Gas Clouds with Leftovers of the First Stars. Using ESO's Very Large Telescope, researchers have found for the first time the fingerprints left by the explosion of the first stars in the universe. They detected 3 distant gas clouds whose chemical composition matches what we expect from the first stellar explosions. These findings bring us one step closer to understanding the nature of the first stars that formed after the Big Bang. For the first time ever, we're able to identify the chemical traces of the explosions of the first stars in very distant gas clouds, says Andrea Saccardi, a PhD student at the Observatoire de Paris, PSL, who led this study during his master's thesis at the University of Florence. Researchers think that the first stars that formed in the universe were very different from the ones we see today. When they appeared 13.5 billion years ago, they contained just hydrogen and helium, the simplest chemical elements in nature. These stars, thought to be tens of thousands of times more massive than our sun, quickly died in powerful explosions known as supernovae, enriching the surrounding gas with heavier elements for the first time. Later generations of stars were born out of that enriched gas and in turn ejected heavier elements as they too died. But the very first stars are now long gone, so how can researchers learn more about them? The more primordial stars can be studied indirectly by detecting the chemical elements they dispersed in their environment after their death, says Stefania Salvadori, Associate Professor at the University of Florence and co-author of the study published today in the Astrophysical Journal. Using data taken with ESO's VLT in Chile, the team found 3 very distant gas clouds seen when the universe was just 10 to 15% of its current age, and with a chemical fingerprint matching what we expect from the explosions of the first stars. Depending on the mass of those early stars and the energy of their explosions, these first supernovae released different chemical elements such as carbon, oxygen, and magnesium, which are present in the outer layers of stars. But some of these explosions were not energetic enough to expel heavier elements like iron, which is found only in the cores of stars. To search for the telltale sign of these very first stars that exploded as low-energy supernovae, the team therefore looked for distant gas clouds, poor in iron but rich in other elements. And they found just that, 3 faraway clouds in the early universe with very little iron but plenty of carbon and other elements, the fingerprint of the explosions of the very first stars. This peculiar chemical composition has also been observed in many old stars in our own galaxy, which researchers consider to be second-generation stars that formed directly from the ashes of the first ones. This new study has found such ashes in the early universe, thus adding a missing piece to this puzzle. Our discovery opens new avenues to indirectly study the nature of the first stars, fully complementing studies of stars in our galaxy, explains Salvadori. To detect and study these distant gas clouds, the team used light beacons known as quasars, very bright sources powered by supermassive black holes at the centers of faraway galaxies. As the light from a quasar travels through the universe, it passes through gas clouds where different chemical elements leave an imprint on the light. To find these chemical imprints, the team analyzed data on several quasars observed with the X-shooter instrument on ESO's VLT. X-shooter splits light into an extremely wide range of wavelengths or colors, which makes it a unique instrument with which to identify many different chemical elements in these distant clouds. This study opens new windows for the next generation telescopes and instruments like ESO's upcoming extremely large telescope, ELT, and its high-resolution Amazonas high dispersion shell spectrograph, ANDES. With ANDES at the ALT, we will be able to study many of these rare gas clouds in greater detail, and we will be able to finally uncover the mysterious nature of the first stars, concludes Valentina de Ordorico, a researcher at the National Institute of Astrophysics in Italy and co-author of the study. Okay, that's all I got. Back to net, WB50ZL. This is from ScienceDaily.com.
Thank you very much, Brenda. Anybody have any questions or comments or late check-ins? This is N5BB, Skynet. Okay, looking at the ISS visible passes, there's nothing very exciting here until a week from now. If your neighborhood's anything like mine, anything below 30 degrees, you just can't see. There's too many trees. Anyway, there's going to be next Saturday, the 13th of May, local time at 9:09 p.m. So a few minutes after the start of Skynet, next Saturday, there will be an ISS pass that's pretty bright. It's negative 3.9. That's a bright one, magnitude. And it has a maximum height of 84 degrees. So if you want to look at the ISS, do it next Saturday evening, next week from tonight at 9:09 p.m. This is N5BB, Skynet. Tom, are there, before we close the net, are there any interesting launches you want to discuss? KE5ICX, N5BB, Skynet.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. Yeah, I can go over a couple of them here. There is on May 10th a launch from the Tianzhou 6, that's from Wuchang, China. Chinese Long March 7 rocket will launch the Tianzhou 6 resupply ship to dock with the Chinese space station. The automated cargo craft is the 5th resupply freighter for the Chinese space station. And let's see, we've got tons and tons of Starlinks. Let's see if I can find something in here that's a little more interesting since they launched so many of them. Here's one. This is the Progress 84P. Will launch from the Soyuz. Will launch the Soyuz spacecraft from Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan on May 24th. This Soyuz rocket will launch the 84th Progress cargo delivery ship to the International Space Station, and that rocket will fly in the Soyuz 2.1 A configuration. Then, here's another one. This would be the Long March 2F launching from Sichuan, China. The Long March 2F rocket will launch the Shenzhou 16 spacecraft with 3 Chinese astronauts, or tachionauts, to rendezvous and dock with the Chinese space station in low Earth orbit. This is China's 11th crewed space mission and the 5th to the Chinese space station. Crew members have not been announced by China. Bill, I'm going to end it there. I'll give it back to you. This is KE5ICX.
Irving here. Storm's coming through Irving, so I want to disconnect the antenna from the radio. Okay, do we have any last-minute check-ins or comments before I close the net? This is N5BB, Skynet.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony in Dallas, checking in at the end.
I recognize NT5TM Tony, and who is the other station? Who is the other station besides Tony?
Normal state.
Nothing heard. I want to thank everybody for participating this evening. Tonight we had 19 hams participating on the air and on Echolink. Thanks to all of you who checked in this evening. We hope you'll join us here next week and every Saturday night at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy, space, and space exploration. On this net, the sky is never the limit. We're always looking for new net controls. Send an email to nets@w5sc.org. You can follow our topics on Facebook and Twitter and w5sc.org. I'm closing a net now, and I'm going to turn it over to Tony, NT5TM. Tony, do you need to bring up a Skywarn net? N5BB clear. Closing Skynet.
I'm completely operational, and all my circuits are functioning perfectly.
Afterglow movie net.
I did not hear Tony. This is Kilo Echo 5 India Charlie X-ray KE5 ICX. Yes, we have severe weather in the area. I'm trying to watch and listen to the net at the same time. If there is any weather coming in, Tony NT5TM will probably break in and go ahead and do a Skywarn net. So this is what we'll do. We will go ahead and act as everything is normal. We'll have the Afterglow movie net in about 5 minutes. Unless we hear otherwise. If things happen, and they can happen rapidly here in Dallas, then we will turn it over to Skywarn and to Tony NT5TM would be my best guess. So let's come back in about 5 minutes, unless you hear otherwise. This is KE5ICX. Tonight's movie we will be discussing is Mad Max from 1978 or 9, depending on when you look at the release date. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. Right, it is now time for the Afterglow Movie Net. Unless we're told otherwise, this is KE5ITX, Kilo Echo 5, and Charlie X-Ray. I'll be your net control for this evening's Afterglow Movie Net. What is the Afterglow Movie Net? Well, nearly everybody who's listening already knows. We assign a movie, something to watch, usually with a science fiction theme, but not always, like any reviewer would. This week's movie is the 1979 Australian dystopian action film directed by George Miller and produced by Brian Kennedy, starring Mel Gibson, called Mad Max. It became a bit of a cult film shortly after its release, which then brought in a whole series of sequels later on, all of them with more money. Warner Brothers took over and really started pouring money into these movies, including the last one, which was in 2015, called Mad Max Fury Road, which was quite a spectacular film. If you've never seen it, you should. So what I'm going to do, this very first Mad Max film, which was released by American International, which is kind of a low-budget group pulled movies usually from Japan, mostly like the Godzilla films, but Mad Max was one of them. And one of the things that was interesting about it, and I go by memory here, is that when the original film was released here in the United States, they dubbed over Mel Gibson's voice because they figured nobody could understand it, as well as some of the other actors. The version that we watched, which was available for free this week with advertisement, had the original voices, which you can understand Australian. You know, they do talk funny. So I didn't have any problems for most of it. But, you know, maybe back in 1978 other people did. All right, I'm going to go through the plot and what it is, and then after that I'll take check-in. We'll be discussing the plot, discussing the characterization and acting, and then finally the special effects for this film. So we will ask you if you've seen the film. If you haven't, that's okay. Maybe you saw one of the sequels. You may have a comment about, Mel and company and what they did in the film. In any case, you are welcome to check in whether you've seen the movie or not. So here we go with the plot. In a near-future dystopian Australia that is facing a breakdown of civil order primarily due to widespread oil shortages, berserk motorcycle gang member Crawford Knight Rider Montezano kills the rookie officer of a poorly funded Main Force Patrol, or MFP, one of the last remaining law enforcement agencies, and escapes with his girlfriend in a dead officer's pursuit special. Knight Rider is able to elude the MFP until the organization's top pursuit man, Max, manages to break his concentration and steer him into a roadblock, resulting in a fiery crash that kills both Knight Rider and his girlfriend. At the MFP garage, Max is shown his new police car, a specially built supercharged V8 powered black pursuit special. Conversation between Max's superior, Captain Fred or Fifi McCoffey, and Police Commissioner Labatush reveals the pursuit special was authorized to bribe Max, who is becoming weary of police work, into staying on the force. Knight Rider's motorbike gang, which is led by Toe Cutter and Bubba Zanetti, run riot in a town, vandalizing property, stealing steel, and terrorizing the populace. The young couple attempts to escape, but the gang destroys their car and rapes them. Max and fellow officer Jim Goose Raines arrest Toe Cutter's young protege, Johnny the Boy, at the scene. No witnesses appeared in court, and Johnny is deemed mentally unfit to stand trial. However, so against Goose's furious objections, he is released into public custody. Nightclub. after seeing Goose's charred body at the hospital ICU, Max informs Fifi is resigning from MD to save what is left of his sanity. Fifi convinces him to take some time off and think it over, so Max goes on a trip with his panel van with his wife, Jessie, and his Sprott, which is Australian slang for a child. When they stop at the Six's Fair Tire, Jessie takes his Sprott to get ice cream and is molested by toe cutters, and she escapes. The family flees to a remote farm owned by an elderly friend, May Swayze. The gang follows and chases Jessie through the woods, and they capture Sprott while the actor off the woods. May helps Jessie with the boy, and the real down. Grabs Sprott and runs down the road. The gang gets up and runs them over. Meanwhile, the comatose Jessie is brought to the ICU where she comes for injuries. Driven into range by the loss of his family, Max dons his police uniform and takes the blacksmith's special without authorization to pursue and eliminate him. He kills several gang members before being caught in a trap. Jeffrey's toe cutter out of Max in the leg. Shotgun. Toe cutter is lying right away. Max staggers forces into the path of the approaching semi-truck. Along search, Max finds Johnny stealing boots from the dead motorist, Abe the dead motorist, ignoring Johnny's desperate plea that he did not kill the men. He was not responsible for the accident. Max gets his ankles before the victim time to lay fuse. Petroleum, Johnny's lighter. Gives Johnny a hacksaw, saying the vehicle explodes as drives away, and they all live happily ever after. That's the end of the movie. That's how it is. All right, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and take check-in. Please come with your call sign, your name, and did you see Mad Max, the original? And I will go down the list. Please come down with your call, your name, and did you see Mad Max?
Beacon Pulse, W5BLT, Bill Garland. Half the movie, 45 minutes.
W5BLT, Bill and Garland. Bill, your signal is a little weak. You might want to increase power. I'll take additional check-in. Please come in. November Victor 5, Foxtrot, Virginia in Fort Worth. I made it about halfway through.
Kilo Bravo 9, Sierra Oscar Kilo, shot on Fort Worth. Yes, I've seen this film.
About 20 minutes into it.
Whiskey Bravo 5, off to Zulu Lima. Brenda in DeSoto. Yes, I saw the movie.
right, very good. We will start at the top. This net is, the timer is usually turned off and it is turned off, so means that you can go ahead and talk normally. Time, you don't have to worry about timing out. Or your weather. So we'll begin at the top. Hopefully you're better, but we'll start.
Normal state.
Okay, I don't know if you the static is a little bit rough on the repeater, so I'm going to try echo lead. I got about 45 minutes through this. Your assignment for today, ladies and gentlemen, is to see if you can get me to watch the other 45 minutes. The plot I didn't think much of. We've seen it before. He terrorizes people and kills people, and then the guy gets revenge, after his family is killed. So, simple plot. I suppose if I could see, maybe I would have liked the stunts for about the first 10 minutes. Now, I think they had Tina Turner in it, and stuff, and I wanted to like this movie. I like some of the stuff that Mel Gibson did, but I just have never been able to get into these movies. This one in particular. So I got about 45 minutes in and just had enough, and maybe that where it got good. But anyway, I got 45 minutes in, and then just thought, the assignment tonight, again, see if you can convince me to watch the rest of it. W5GLP.
KF5JJ.
H5ICX, NC5F. I heard Chaz come in there. Tom, do you want to get him on the list?
Yeah, I think he's probably ready. Go ahead, Chaz.
Yeah, I just want to let you know that I don't know if a Skywarn net's going to come up, but Dallas County is under a severe thunderstorm warning until 11:45. Just wanted to let all of you know.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike.
Go ahead.
Tom, thank you, and thank you, Chaz. I'm going to delay calling the net and give everybody a little bit of breathing room. The storm cell is moving so slowly, I don't want to have people sitting by their radio for half an hour waiting for the weather to arrive. So you do have a little time to work with, but yes, both you and Chaz are right that a Skywarn net is very likely coming, just not yet. I'm going to wait for the weather to get closer to the county line. NT5TM.
All right, very good, Tony. We'll be out listening for you, or you've got my phone number if you want to send me a chat. Let me know in case we're heavy in conversation. We'll go ahead and switch over. Either or both will work fine for us.
Roger, and thank you. NT5TM.
that, we will take you to Virginia and K5F. Go ahead.
K5ICX and the net NV5F. Yeah, I like Bill I kind of wanted to like this movie or kind of get into it because I knew there were other movies that I also hadn't seen, and I thought, well, here's the first one. And to me, the action and the kind of car-centric, I like cars, you know, so it's nothing against cars, but it was a lot about stunts. It was about kind of macho stuff. There was a lot of violence, which I thought was gratuitous, but it's like Bill said, it's a common theme, you know, kind of a guy gets wronged by violent criminals and finally has to put his foot down and go make it right for him. I only watched about the first half, and I actually found that the plot was difficult for me to follow. It was the style the film was made in. There wasn't very much exposition. It was the plot was it was very distracting to have all the kind of continuing just non-stop action and people hurting each other.
W5SC.
That kind of kept me distracted from being able to follow what was really going on anyway. So I hung in there. I'm just kind of sensitive to violence, and I'm sensitive to you know, just human suffering, and so I just couldn't hang with this. So I don't know that I'll ever see any of the other Mad Maxes, which I know were more fiscally successful and more popular in some ways. And there are other aspects of this I will comment on later, but that's my very short version of my take on the first half of the movie. Lots of car chases, stunts, you know, stuff in and of itself that looked cool, and action that was cool, but some of it was just too much for me and my sensibilities. Anyway, back to net. We'll try to get through this quick so we can get some stuff done before the weather comes. K5ICX, NV5F.
W5AN, excuse me, but is there a net control for the Skywarn net, and are we expected to have any here in Mexico 28? It's raining pretty hard.
That would be Tony. He was already on a few minutes ago. He will inform us in case there's a weather is moving very slowly, and he will call the net when he feels it's appropriate. So he has a way of getting that to get a hold of the correctly. The net. For now, I think that's
That's just fine, Tom, and it's so nice to hear your voice on the radio again. I haven't talked to you in a long time. 73 and 88, W5AN.
Very good, and I'm hearing from you too. Okay, let's see. We'll move on to Sean. That's okay, Sean. Your thoughts on the plot of Mad Max 1970 from KE5.
Yeah, this is KB9S, okay. Like the previous reviewers, that I went into this wanting to like this film. I remember seeing it back in the 80s, and it seems like I remember it more fondly than when I rewatched it for the first time, probably nearly 30 years. It seemed like I thought I liked it back then, but after watching it this time, I realized just how bad it actually was. So maybe my memories are with the sequels more than the original. And yeah, the remake was, I thought, pretty good, the last one they did. But yeah, this was really a super simple plot. I felt at the beginning they didn't really give a lot of explanation other than oil shortages, why the world had turned to apparently just gangs and hardly nobody else to stop them. Seemed, kind of not a lot of explanation there how they ended up in the situation. But yeah, the movie pretty much was just all about how Max got mad, which I guess the title's pretty appropriate. Several events happen, he doesn't get, and then he gets his revenge, and even that didn't really feel that satisfying at the end. Not that it should, but usually when you have these revenge films, there's usually some epic battle at the end, and the hero barely makes it, and these big scenes, and really this movie went on, it seemed like longer than it should have, because the long drug out scenes of just them showing camera shots tied to the side of the car going down the highway at high speeds. They basically pretty much ended this film in just a few minutes. It's like, went on and on and on, and finally he goes after him, and it's over in feels like 5 minutes. It didn't really seem like that epic of an ending. So yeah, just overall I felt a little disappointed with this, and I was kind of surprised by that. So I guess maybe sometimes your memories get fuzzy messed up when you're younger. Also, too, I was surprised by the lack of, he wrote this, I'd have to give, Mad Max and his wife kind of a thumbs down on taking care of their child. I mean, it seemed like during the whole film, half the time, when they're on their little vacation, it looks like they weren't even paying attention to the child at all. Of course, I do remember back in the 80s riding the back of vehicles without seatbelts, but, that, and then they just leave the kid out on a blanket. He runs out to find his wife without even worrying about what's going on with the kid, and it's like, wow. That struck me as, wow, does he even care about this kid? But anyway, yeah, overall, just a little disappointed with this. I guess my memory wasn't as good as I thought it was with this film. So anyway, back to that, KB9, that's okay.
Yeah, well, thank you, Sean. I don't disagree with you on that. I'll save my comments for the end. Let's see here. Brenda, WB50ZL. Brenda, what did you think about the plot for this week's movie, Mad Max, 1979, from 85ITX?
This is WB50ZL. I had not seen this movie before, and the only other Mad Max I'd ever seen was, I think, Beyond Thunderdome, which I enjoyed immensely. I actually enjoyed this. The plot was pretty simple-minded, and it's a plot that has been overdone so many times in so many movies. A man's family gets wiped out by the bad guys, and he gets his revenge. But we're really happy when he does, and you're really rooting for him, because it's pretty traumatic what he went through. And, it's just sort of a real basic good against evil kind of a story. No reason why those guys were just unredeemably evil, what their motivation was, but they were, and he took them out. I had kind of a problem with Mel Gibson looking like he was 13. This is one of his very first movies ever. And, of course, he's a wonderful actor, and I really like him. But I just kept thinking, you don't get that Mad Max sense like you do later on, say, in Lethal Weapon or the other Mad Max movies where he's just this side of crazy. Well, maybe not this side of it, but he didn't seem as mad as he would in later movies, so I kept kind of wishing to see that part of him come through. Okay, I'll keep it short. Back to net, WB50ZL.
All right, thank you, Brenda. And next up is Cruz, KI5KWG. Cruz, your thoughts on the plot for Mad Max?
KI5KWG, lull here over in Tarrant County. Mother Nature's been sending lightning bolts at me for hours now. and it sounds like they're about to activate the net, in which case I'm going to fade out of here and tune in there. But in brief, I only watched it briefly. I guess this is the third time at least I've tried to watch this film. Never have liked it, never have gotten hooked into it, never finished it. And I made it about 20 minutes this time, and I just confirmed my prior judgment. I had, as an excuse to put it off, said, hey, I'm going to do the Friday night Afterglow gang that Tom was telling us about, but the link doesn't work. And I tried it again Friday, and it still didn't work. And I said, oh, gee. So I guess I'm not going to watch this film after all. It was just an excuse. But add me to the Afterglow gang group, and I might try to hook up on some Friday in the future. Meanwhile, I'm going to dodge lightning bolts and 50-knot winds. So KI5, KWG, I'll try to listen when I can. Back to net.
Oh, okay, Cruz. I'm not sure why the link didn't work, but I looked at the link for the link. I know why it didn't work. It was long, but yeah, I think all you have to do is type in 2, where it says 2 to whoever you want to talk to, and just put in Afterglow gang, 2 words, Afterglow gang, and it will let you in. But I'll pay particular attention to it and see. I also enabled a chat feature in there that is now a part of Facebook. It's always there. Then people will say, well, I think it's going off all the time, and I don't want to be part of that. Such a thing is overused. So we'll see about that. Okay, very interesting. Anyone else want to check in before I give my comments? Please come out.
Golf 5, Bravo to the Whiskey. Okay, echoing, I did see the film.
Okay, we picked up one of the regulars. That would be Jay, KT5. He said WJ, over in Weatherford, near Weatherford. He said, yes, he saw the movie. Jay, go ahead with your comments. We're talking about plot right now.
And yeah, I actually watched. This is the second time I've watched it. Forgot how. I forgot my impressions of it from the first watch. I mean, I will watch it again for this. I just kind of because I didn't want to feel bad. I kind of wanted to watch the whole film. You know, so I paid for it. Whatever. I kind of wish I hadn't, because, yeah, it's just kind of disappointing. And well, I don't know when I do it, but it's like the latest Mad Max, of course, whatever was in the 20, what was it, I don't know, Fury Road, or whatever. That was pretty good. I've heard good things, but I can't remember if I did or not. I remember wanting to watch this early on. It was not that impressive. First I watched it, I think, and not impressive now. I thought the character selection, and I'm skipping ahead, but at least to look at the characters and how they acted and all that, that's kind of interesting and all. But, yeah, especially just the whole resolution of it was very, very short and not very... didn't even build up that much to it. I mean, it built up on why he got mad, but, you know, was just hoping for a little bit something a little bit better than that. Not that, being done at least by a fitting in for that character, but just what the setup for it was just a little bit meh, or like what else to call it. I have a big problem with the fact that lady, the wife, is why would you run down a middle of a road when that's literally... I don't understand that character's actions that led to her death. It's literally the best route for the motorcyclist to take, and he took it. And sure, they could probably cover ground on dirt too, but why? At least you have some, they could accidentally hit a hole, a snake hole, or a silver hole or something, maybe get something stuck, and, there's reasons there are roads. And you're taking the most news for the people that see it. That was probably the most frustrating part of the plot. But other than that, I don't know. It had some interesting aspects, especially with the false. We got the character that turns out to be a benign source of fear, and I kind of like what they did with that. He did with whoever whatever did with that, but the whole resolution just really not good. I think that's all I can say right now. We're back to that. KT5 is back to that.
NT5TM. Go ahead. Thank you. I have just been informed that the actual severe conditions, not the warning box, are likely to arrive in southern Dallas County within the next 15 minutes. So if you would care to wrap it up in an orderly fashion, I'll be starting the race season at soon. NT5TM.
I'll make my comments and we'll close it out. First off, I'll tell everybody, we will watch another movie next week. I will send the information out through email and through Facebook, so you'll know what movie is next, which I think is Beastman, or another fine film. My only comment, I'll keep it short, is that when this film came out, it was at a time when chess was on television, at least in the United States, and Dirty Harry was a movie that was very popular. I see both of those elements in this film. I think that's what they were going for. The other part is, the plot was thin, but that was fixed later on in other films that came. Road Warrior was one, which, by the way, I think is a superior film and more entertaining than the original, but you had to start somewhere, and then each film got more and more elaborate and more entertaining. So the dystopian thing was also relatively new back then. Effectively with Blade Runner and all that later on. But you got to remember this is 1979, so finally, the effects were spectacular. That's probably one of the things that really caught people. There was no special effects, no sleight of hand outside of just the actual filming that was done, which was very, very good. And I think that's what probably really brought people into the theater. Nobody had seen anything quite like this, the way it was done. The photography was great. All right, that's it from me. We're going to have a short one. That's fine by me. I had a very, very, very good one, so I'm going to go and sit and let them go ahead and fight with the weather. So I'm going to say 7-3 to everybody. Thank you for participating this evening, and we'll see you here next week. This is KE5ICX.
W5FT.